Hey friends, I'm Coco. Thanks for joining me today. This is a 35-minute practice aimed mostly for jitsu players or anyone who uses their shoulders and their hips a lot and needs a little bit of restoration. It's good for all levels. You don't really have to know yoga at all. This is my adorable dog, Carver. So make your way to a yoga mat, a towel, just practice on the mats after class. And hopefully this will make you feel nice and restored and refreshed. All right, so let's make our way to our mats or a towel or just the mats themselves. And let's begin with a hip-width distance stance, rooting down through all four corners of the feet, the big toe, the baby toe, the outside of both heels. And bring the hands along the sides, rotating the elbow creases to the front of the room, bringing the pinkies towards the midline of the body, thumbs out. Stacking the shoulders over the hips here, and then taking a nice deep breath. Dropping the shoulders away from the ears, and rooting down. Sending the breath all the way down to the hips. On your next inhale, fill the belly up. Feel that breath travel down, and then slowly with control let the exhale out. Extending the crown towards the head. Feeling strong in this mountain pose, Tadasana. Just finding some stillness and length. 2 more breaths. Close the eyes if you wish. Keep them open if you want. Last exhale here. Gently blink the eyes open. We're going to reach the arms up. Bringing the arms up and the gaze up. Maybe even opening the chest a little bit towards the ceiling. Broadening through the collarbones. Dropping the shoulders away from the ears here. Rooting down into those feet. Grabbing the left wrist with the right hand. We're going to inhale, reach up and over. Stay nice and heavy on those feet here. And just really lengthening in the lateral side body. Taking the gaze up for 3 breaths. Breathing into those ribs. Maybe closing the mouth. Coming into a ujjayi or meditative breath. Coming through center, shrugging the shoulders back and forth a few times. Then grabbing the right wrist with the left hand. Inhale, lengthening, and exhale, finding that stretch. Now we easily could go down and really crunch that side. But what we're looking for is length. So even using the hands here to extend through those right fingers, really rooting down into that right foot, taking the gaze up, maybe, just maybe, tilting the chest open towards the ceiling. Breathing, noticing, then letting go. Coming back up to center, coming to the top of the mat. We're going to bring our hands to our hips here. We're going to really find our hip points, and then we're going to lengthen and exhale, slowly begin to fold at those hip creases, those hip points. Rolling all the way down, and releasing the head and the hands here. Maybe bringing the mat and the hands down to a block or the mat. Maybe even just bending your knees a little bit so that your chest is moving towards your thighs to allow some length in the lower back. Dropping the shoulders away from the ears. Yes. And begin to gently straighten the knees. Bringing that stretch into the middle back now. The hamstrings. Placing the hands on the top of the shins. Inhale, lift up halfway. Pulling the shoulder blades towards one another. Lengthening from the crown to the tail here. Making kind of an inverted L shape. And exhale, release down. Dropping the head, grabbing opposite elbows, and slowly swaying from side to side. Drop the hands, place the hands on the tops of the shins. Inhale, lift up halfway. And exhale, fold. Being intentional with our movement and our breath to allow the nervous system to relax and bring restoration into the body. Maybe you're doing this after rolling, grappling, or maybe just even before. Maybe this is your only practice for today. But just releasing out, being gentle, being kind, rooting down into the feet on your next inhale. Slowly roll all the way up, vertebrae by vertebrae. Inhale, reaching the arms up, and exhale, looking up, taking the gaze up. And exhale all the way down. Forward fold. Placing the right hand into the middle of your feet. Bend your knee here. Reach your left arm up to the sky for a little twist. Taking the gaze up to the fingers. Stacking the shoulders on top of one another. 2 more breaths. Second breath, release down. Switch hands. Position that left hand between your feet. Give that left knee a nice big bend. Inhale, reach up. Stack the shoulders. Extend through the fingers. Feeling a lot going on in the body here, from the hamstring stretch to opening the glutes. Finding this gentle twist here in the spine. Compression on the ribs. Good for digestion. Good for just resetting the ribs. Maybe you've been triangling a lot of people. Maybe you've been getting in a lot of body triangles. 1 more breath. And exhale, release down. Folding here one last time. Maybe wrapping your hands around the back of your shins. And pulling yourself in. Shaking the head, yes. Shaking the head, no. Beautiful. Plant the hands here. Step back into a high plank. Finding your hands spread out nice and wide. Heels over the toes. Navel drawn in. And then exhale down to all fours. Nice. We're going to just sway the hips back and forth a few times. And then look over the right shoulder, pushing equally in both hands. Come back through to center, over to the left shoulder, looking back at that left heel. Coming back to center. Dropping the belly, taking the gaze up. For cow pose. Now, a lot of times in jiu-jitsu, the back is really rounded. We round the back a lot. So just embracing this pose for 1 more breath, pushing up and out through the hands. And exhale, curl everything under. Take the gaze toward the thighs, pushing up and out through the hands for cat pose. Now linking up with your breath for a few more rounds. Exhale, curl it in. Inhale, look up. Exhale. Inhale. Coming back to neutral. Refinding your connection to the ground here. Bringing that left hand into the middle of the mat. We're going to thread the needle first by opening up that right arm, stacking the shoulders, finding a twist, and then exhale, threading that arm down and under, bringing the shoulder and the cheek on the ground, bringing that top hand out in front of you. Finding your edge here. Being careful and cautious of what your body's telling you. Maybe you need to back off a little bit, and that's okay. We're trying to restore here. Three more nice deep breaths. After that third breath, bring that left hand underneath the shoulder, twist open, and reset. Bringing that right hand into the middle of the mat, we're going to take it to the other side. Finding that twist first, reaching through the fingertips, and then exhale, rolling under, setting that cheek down, the top of the shoulder blade, reaching that right arm long, and breathing. Noticing the sensations, but not labeling them as good or bad. Just using our breath here to calm our nervous system. So hopefully by the end of practice, we can go into homeostasis and allow the body to heal. 2 more breaths here. At the end of that second breath, unwind, placing the hand underneath the shoulder, twisting, exhale, release down. We're going to move into extended child's pose. So bringing the knees as wide as the mat, the toes to touching. Sink the hips back, walk the hands forward, nestle the ribs between the legs here, and set the forehead down. Carver, okay. Breathing, sinking back into the hips. Then gently begin to rock the forehead on the mat here, massaging where in yoga we call our third eye chakra. Telling the nervous system again that we are safe and grounded. Maybe bring a little sway into the hips if that feels good. Bringing some fluidity. And then walk the hands over and off the left side of the mat, sinking down into the right hip, setting the head either on top of your arm or down onto the mat or block. Really rooting back into that thigh, into that hip. And coming back to the breath if the mind wanders. Walk the hands back through to center and over to the right side, feeling free to take them off the mat. Sinking down into that left hip, sending the forehead down. Finding more side body stretches here to really open up the ribs, the intercostals, and add some space. One more breath here. And then come back through to center. Coming up to all fours, bringing the knees under the hips, and then walking the hands out, coming into extended puppy pose. Dropping the heart down towards the ground, bringing the forehead or the chin onto the mat here. Extending through those fingers. Then reaching. One more breath. And then slowly pull the chest through to the top of the mat, bringing the arm. Let's come into Sphinx pose. Bringing the elbows underneath the shoulders, the hands out in front of us, about shoulder distance apart. And pulling the chin and the chest away from the mat, rooting into the pelvis and the tops of the feet. Making sure those elbows are nice and close to the body. And taking the gaze about 3 feet in front of the mat. Nice and neutral. Feeling the lower back begin to gently open. Staying here for 3 more breaths. And exhale, release down to the ground, bringing the hands stacked on top of one another and just gently setting the forehead down onto the palms. Nice. Now we're going to bring the hands right outside off the mat. We're going to place the hands kind of in line if we were laying down where our shoulders would be. So inhale, come up, and exhale, drop the right shoulder down towards the mat. Getting that stretch deep in those nooks and crannies of the shoulder girdle. Inhale, come back up to center, and exhale, drop the left shoulder down. Maybe even taking the gaze over towards the right elbow. Trying to apply equal pressure down onto the pelvis. Inhale, come up. And we're going to bring the hands close to the ribs, draw the elbows in, and slowly lower all the way down. On your next inhale, begin to lift up and off of the mat, coming into a cobra pose, bringing the elbows nice and close to the body, keeping a slight bend in them. And breathing here as we take this back opening a little bit higher. Exhale, release down. Nice. One more time. Inhale, lift up. Breathing. And exhale, coming all the way down. Nice. We're going to slowly make our way to our bums here. However you want to do that. Walking the knees forward. Nice. And now we're going to come into a little bit of a hip stretch. So bringing the hands out behind us, either fingers pointing in towards us or away. Whatever feels comfy for you. Do a little experiment to see what works. We're going to have the knees pointed up towards the ceiling as we find our sit bones. Nice. So we're going to just begin to take the gaze up here, broadening through the chest and the collarbone. Staying here or coming down onto the forearms. Not cranking the head all the way back, but just finding a nice little spot where you can feel your strength and a release in the chest. One more breath here. And then we're going to walk back up onto our hands. Nice. We're going to bring the right foot on top of the left knee. So finding that spot that works here for you first with the contact on your knee. Sometimes my ankle's a little bony, so I have to find the outer edge of my foot and just place that on my knee. Now leaning back on the sit bones, finding integrity in the core, you're going to find where you want to place this left foot. Walking it in a little bit closer to open up the hips more. Having it out a little further from the body for a little bit more restorative. Nice, and we're just going to breathe here. And then begin to look up, broadening through the chest. Breathing. Feeling the grounding of the mat beneath us, the energy coming up through the hands and the sits bones and the feet. Feeling that gentle opening in the hips. And then slowly we're going to lower down onto the forearms, slowly making our way all the way onto our back. Reach our hands through this hole and around the outside of the thigh, pulling the thigh in close. Staying here or wrapping around the shin if you need a little bit more. Bringing that nice juicy stretch in the hips and the groins a little bit deeper. And then play around here. If the shin feels good, stay there. Maybe you extend your leg up and grab for the toes. Careful to keep the lower back on the ground, but bringing a nice stretch into the hamstring while we do this. Maybe you're still just here with your hand around your thigh. Maybe you bring your right hand out to push on your knee. Choose your own adventure here for 2 more breaths. And then gently set that foot down onto the ground, bringing the other foot to meet it. And then heel toeing the feet as wide as the mat, dropping the knees in towards one another for 2 breaths. Allowing the outside of the hips to really open up, the IT band to open up. Slowly heel toe the feet back in. Push your way back up to seated. And we'll take it to the other side, crossing the left foot onto the right knee. And then finding your point of stability first in your hands and your foot, whether if you're walking the foot in, walking it out. And then begin to open up in the chest here. Breathing into those points of sensation that you're feeling, sending the oxygen and energy to them, sending your awareness to them. And then gently coming down onto the forearms, and then all the way down onto the ground. Bringing that leg in towards the chest and either wrapping around the thigh, the shin, extending in the leg. Choose your own adventure here. Being active in that right foot wherever you're at. And breathing. 2 more breaths here. And gently setting that foot down, bringing the other to meet it, and then just knocking the knees side to side a few times. Releasing out any of that tension. Nice. We're going to slowly rock and roll in our spine a few times, coming all the way up, and we're going to extend the legs out to V here, flexing in the toes, having the knees pointed up towards the ceiling, and rooted down into the sit bones. We're going to gently walk the hands forward and fold, dropping the head wherever you're at. Breathing into the backs of the legs, the inner groin, the hips. Each breath, surrendering a little bit more. Feeling a little bit more relaxed. A little bit more balanced with your body. Maybe gently folding a little bit deeper. Slowly making your way back up as you root into your sit bones. Bringing the feet together. And then we're going to cross. We're going to bring the right foot over the left knee, bringing the knee up to the sky. We're going to inhale, lift the left arm up, reach it around the knee, and place the right arm behind us as a second spine. We're going to inhale, root down, and exhale, begin to turn towards the back of the room. Each breath lengthening, and each exhale twisting. Lengthening and twisting. Keeping the shoulders nice and stacked over the hips here. Bringing a nice gentle compression to the ribs and the organs. And exhale, slowly come back through to center. Keeping this right foot where it is, we're going to slowly wrap the left foot around us. Walking this right foot out a little bit more and rooting both sit bones down into the earth. Coming into a version of cow face pose. Staying here, opening the arms up to cactus arms and looking up towards the ceiling. Feeling nice and heavy in those hips. One more breath. And exhale, place the hands behind us and slowly twist towards the back of the room, coming up onto feet for a wide-legged forward fold. Heel-toeing the feet a little bit closer together or a little bit further out and coming into a yogic squat. Bringing the elbows to the insides of the knees. Maybe almost falling. And dropping the head here. Slowly make your way down to the mat, facing back towards the front of the room. Straightening out the legs, finding length in the spine. We'll take it to the other side. Crossing the left leg over the right, and then we'll take that to the other side. Bending in the left knee, setting the foot down onto the right side of the mat. Inhale, reaching that right arm up, then wrapping it around the knee. Having that hand behind you for support. Taking a nice deep inhale here and lengthening through the crown. And then exhale, turning towards the back of the room. Lengthening and twisting. Two more breaths here. And slowly coming back through to center. Wrapping the right foot now this time off towards the left side of the mat. Walking the feet out so that the knees are nice and stacked, or your closest variation of it. And allowing both sit bones to root down into the earth. Staying here for a breath. Getting nice and tall. Then bringing the arms up into cactus arms. And slowly opening the chest up towards the ceiling. Slowly release the hands, unwind the legs. And we'll make our way all the way down to our back. Setting up for Supta Baddha Konasana, bringing the soles of the feet together, the knees out wide, feeling the lower back nice and planted in the ground, and bringing the hand to the heart and the belly. Being active in all 10 toes as you push them towards one another. To allow gravity to help the knees splay out wide. The gentle opening in the hips. Maybe gently closing the eyes here. Three more nice deep breaths. We're going to slowly close the knees here. Expand the arms out to either side, making a T. Inhale, reach the knees up towards center, and exhale, drop them over to the left side, coming into a supine twist. Encouraging both shoulder blades to be nice and connected to the ground here. And then just noticing where your gaze is and where it can go if you so wish. Keeping it at the same way as your knees, up at the ceiling, and over to the right side of the room for the biggest twist. On your last exhale, draw the belly button in towards the spine. Using your core, bring your knees back up to center. Give yourself a nice big squeeze, maybe rocking on your lower back a few times, side to side. And then bring the arms back out to T, Then slowly drop them over to the right side. Being heavy in those shoulder blades. And finding your drishti, your gaze here. What works for you? 3 more breaths here. Drawing that belly button down into the spine. Slowly bring your knees back into the chest and grab for the outsides of both feet for happy baby. Rocking on the lower back, side to side. Maybe extending the legs to V. Finding what feels good for you. Nice. We're going to extend the legs out long towards the front of the room. And we're going to slowly bring our forearms on the ground underneath our back, sliding our hands underneath our butt cheeks. And then we're going to slowly puff the chest up as we drop the head back, coming into fish pose. Careful here to not crank your neck too far back, keeping some control. Finishing the pose by pointing the toes and breathing. Staying here for 2 more breaths. Slowly allowing your arms to come out underneath your back and lowering all the way down as you set up for some